What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Erica Russo show. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I am always excited to have new ears hanging out here. And if you are an OG, you continue to come back, you continue to press play, you continue to lean in to your own inner wisdom, hug your inner child, do the motherfucking work. I love you. Thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean the world to me. And if this podcast is helping you, if it's uplifting you, if it's giving you those aha moments, if it's giving you clarity, I would be eternally grateful if you can head on over to iTunes or Spotify and leave a review. Those reviews allow this podcast to get to more ears. And now, more than ever, I think that these conversations and the insight that comes through on this podcast can really help a lot more people. Before you go ahead and click submit on that testimonial or review, whatever we're calling it, make sure you send a screenshot to me at Instagram at Erica W. Russo, and I would love to send you a free gift for taking that time out and supporting this podcast. Now, if you have been listening for a while, you can probably tell that my voice is a little frog-like today, and that is because I am battling this really weird cold virus summer-ish thing. I have really it's really weird. I hate getting sick in the summer. Like, that's the absolute worst. But my son kind of had an itch in his throat, and then my husband had an itch in his throat, and then I'm like, oh shit, I have an itch in my throat. And then my youngest son was like, I was coughing last night. So it's definitely going around. I feel fine. I feel a little under the weather, but I'm literally sitting in my bed right now recording this podcast. That's why I love the internet, and that's why I love what I do, because I have the luxury of just hanging out. I'm about to watch Mobland with Tom Hardy. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, it's on Amazon Prime. If you can't tell, if we haven't already had this discussion, I'm a huge Tom Hardy stan. This is his new TV series. It's a slow burn. I'm going to let you know that. If you are into like mob movies and like kind of dark shit, Sopranos sort of shit, it's definitely worth tuning into. His character is excellent. I mean, he's a phenomenal actor, but we have, there's Pierce Brosnan in it. I think that's his name. He was in Mamma Mia. And he is a little kooky. His character is a little kooky. And then Helen Mirren is in it, and she does a wonderful job. So it's a great cast. But again, it's kind of a slow burn, but it gets so much better throughout the series. So definitely check out Mobland if you are looking for a new TV show. With that being said, I wanted to share this episode because I realized I didn't talk about it that much, and that is the North Node officially entering Pisces. Okay, now here is the thing. The North Node entered Pisces back in January of 2025, and it's been a very interesting 6 months, and I've seen this transit kind of manifest in many different ways throughout my own life, but also through social media and what's kind of going on in the world. And I initially taught this class back in January for a program that I did. And then I'm like, you know what? North Node is going to continue to be in Pisces for at least another year. And I want to share this because we go into how the North Node in Pisces is going to be impacting your natal chart. Okay. And the reason why there's so many episodes where I'm going into the transits is for the simple fact that this is life. This is quite literally the human experience. Astrology is the ebb and flow of the human experience. And when we have a heads up of the energy that's flowing into our lives in certain areas or aspects of our life, it allows us to observe. It allows us to kind of be the gentle observer of things. There's the biggest thing that I can tell you throughout my own personal journey is that working with the transits and understanding how the current astrological shit is impacting you personally, it really gives you a lot more clarity. I promise you that. I would recommend. So, here's the thing, I'm gonna literally spill the tea right now. If you are on TikTok and Instagram, there's a lot of astrological content creators that say like to download Astra. And I downloaded Astra. That was one of the apps that I had a couple months ago, maybe like late 2024. And I personally noticed that the information that it provided me was inaccurate. I didn't really like it. They screwed up a lot of my own personal placements within the app. And so I didn't really, they reached out and they wanted me to like promote it. And I wanted to try it out first and I just didn't like it. I think that it was very inaccurate. And I was very surprised to see that a lot of astrology people promote the app because the app sucks. It's they need a lot of revisions. They need to work on it. They need to become more accurate. And if you are listening, Astra, like work on your shit. Okay. I know that a lot of the information is AI generated, but you guys can do better. And I'm not going to promote your app. What I am going to promote is I'm really liking the Chani app. Okay. The Chani app is a monthly subscription and it gives you daily horoscopes, but they also have a lot of bonus things like guided visualizations and little episodes of what's going on astrologically and how it's impacting your chart. But it also has a section where one, it dives into your natal chart and all of your placements. And then there is a transit section that gives you a heads up on short-term transits as well as long-term transits and how it is impacting you. And to be completely honest, those transits have really helped me like feel like I'm not going crazy. I've had a lot of transits personally that were impacting my Lilith and my Chiron. And if you know, all right, I don't know if you guys heard that, but my husband and my dog came storming in. And it was a little dramatic there for a moment. But this is literally what happens when you work from home. So anyway, I was having a lot of transits that were impacting my Chiron and my Lilith. Chiron is the wounded healer. This is the wound that never seems to heal. And we all have it. It's impacting a certain area of our chart. And the Lilith is also very healing oriented, but very much more of embracing our shadow side. And the last couple of months, I've been having a lot of like intense days of just healing, of purging, of releasing. And then I would go and I would check the transits on the Chani app, and it's like, oh, okay, Saturn's squaring my Chiron. That's why I feel like this. And like Lilith is doing this. And I'm like, okay. So it really gives you a lot of clarity for those days and those moments where you're just like wanting to either rip your hair out or scream at the top of your lungs or lock yourself in your bedroom and not deal with the world. So I would go with the Chani app. The Nebula app is also good as well. But I am really enjoying the Chani app right now. So with that being said, we are going into the North Node entering Pisces, okay? We are going to go through all of the rising signs. You're going to learn how this transit is going to be impacting you, okay? So again, let me preface this by stating I am well aware that the North Node entered Pisces back in January. It is going to continue to be here for at least another year. So it's still present, okay? enjoy this podcast. Be sure to come hang out with me on Instagram at Erica W. Russo for even more content. You can also check out my current freebie, which is access to over 20 ebooks, trainings, past classes that I've done for free. I will leave that in the description for you if you want to check that out. And as always, it's always a pleasure, and I will see you guys around the internet. Enjoy today's episode.
What is up, guys, and welcome to the North Node in Pisces class. I am so excited to have this container where I can go deeper into the subject. I know that I've spoken about the North Node entering Pisces on social media, and I'm really excited to actually dive in and actually share with you how this is actually going to impact you via your natal chart. Okay. So, what we are going to uncover in this class is what actually the North and South Node is, what the North and South Node represent in your birth chart, how this transit will impact you and your life. Okay. So, let's talk about what is the North and South Node. So, the North and South nodes are mathematical points in space where the moon's orbit crosses the ecliptic or the apparent path of the sun. They always sit in the opposite zodiac signs, which we will get more into once we start talking about where Pisces is in your chart. They work together to create an axis. The nodes move along the lunar axis and they change signs every 1.5 years. They return to the original birth positions every 18 to 19 years. So now let's talk about what the nodes actually represent. The North Node represents one's life destiny. This represents the future, growth, direction a person is heading. It can also indicate what a person craves at the soul level. When it comes to the North Node, I love talking about the North Node because I like to think of it as the invisible string, the invisible magnetic pull, the force that we all have the ability to connect with so long as we get out of our own way, and it drives us. It's just that magnetic pull towards a certain career path, towards a certain purpose. And that is what your North Node is. It's your purpose here in this life. Whereas when we talk about your South Node, this represents past lives. This represents the lessons that we have learned in past lives or even this life. This is the baggage we carry. Okay. And I feel like when we talk about your South Node, a lot of times I feel like relationships will come up due to the fact that we have people in our lives at this current time right now that we have contracts with, we have agreements with at the soul level where it's like, hey, I need to learn this lesson, so if you teach me this lesson, I'll teach you that lesson. And this is all, if you want to read a little bit more about this, I recommend checking out The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. It's a very informative book, and it really tells you the origins of soul groups and soul families and soul contracts. So yeah, be sure to check that out if you're interested in learning more about that. But again, your South Node represents past lives. When we go through all of the signs, I am going to touch on exactly I'm going to touch on both your North Node and South Node. Okay. But when I talk about the South Node, it's going to be a little bit more negative and in your face for the simple fact that when the South Node is entering Virgo, Virgo is very analytical, Virgo is very nope, this is how we do it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a freaking Virgo. You know what I mean? Virgos are very direct. Virgos don't care about emotions. Virgos care about facts. So with the South Node entering Virgo, it's not going to be light and fluffy, put it that way, but we're strong and we can handle it. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the actual transit. So the North Node is going to move into the sign of Pisces on January 11th, 2025, while the South Node is going to be entering the sign of Virgo until July 26th, 2026. So here's the thing. On social media, it's very interesting because I follow a lot of astrology creators, you know, and spiritual teachers, so to speak, and everybody has like their own way of delivering the information when it comes to the North Node entering Pisces, and then all of the events happening in the year of 2025. I know that I try to be as direct as possible, where it's like, yo, guys, do you see what's coming? Like I try to be very direct and I try not to sugarcoat it for the simple fact that like I just want to come as like a very grounded individual being like, do we see this tidal wave? Do we see what's actually coming down the pipeline? Let's prepare. Let's get ready. Let's ground our shit because this is nuts. We've never experienced this kind of stuff ever in our lifetime. So again, it's funny because like everyone delivers this information differently. I've seen content creators who are like, this shit's going down, blah, blah, blah. And then I've seen that some that are like, oh, it's gonna be such a beautiful awakening process. And I'm like, there's good and bad. There's good and bad to every transit, honestly. And I'd rather just give you all of it and you can become the observer and notice how life pans out for you and what you're experiencing in your life than being like, this is going to be so elegant and mystical or oh rah, rah, rah. I'd rather just this is the facts, take it like it is, and just observe. Just simply observe what is happening, what is manifesting in your personal life, but also in the world around you. Okay. So the positives of this transit, it does shine light on the topic of spirituality and healing. Okay. That's a positive. It also does bring a sense of compassion and empathy. Okay. Pisces are very compassionate, and Pisces is a very compassionate, empathetic sign. Okay. It feels deeply. So I do feel like this is a very positive thing, especially with where, the United States is heading, but also the world is heading. Compassion can definitely help situations. Now, the best thing about this, and this is the one that I think is going to be the most entertaining, is the letting go of control. Okay. When we talk about the sign of Pisces, Pisces is very mystical. Pisces is very connected to the intuitive and the emotions. Okay. They're like walking high priestesses. They're very just mystical. You know what I mean? They have a level of faith. Pisces has a level of faith that, you know, earth signs and air signs don't have. And they have this power when it comes to letting go and letting God that other signs don't have. Okay. A lot of us are control freaks. A lot of us a lot of us like our monkey brain. A lot of us like logic and evidence. And this North Node entering Pisces is really shining light on the fact that there is still way too many people that are trying to control circumstances and situations. This transit is going to shine light on aspects of our lives at the personal level, but also at the collective level, where we need to have faith, where we need to just trust in God. We've, for hundreds of years, since we were in the age of, Capricorn, I think we relied more so on man than we did on God. And now that we're walking into, or we are in the age of Aquarius, the themes are going to be different. The themes are going to be, we're going to have faith in ourselves, but we're also going to have faith that there is a higher power, there is a higher purpose. And we have to learn to let go. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. Okay. And you're going to see themes specifically with the control freaks of your life finding themselves in circumstances where they're going to have to let go. They have to loosen the reins. And it's going to feel almost impossible for them. But they don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. So those are the positives that come out of the North Node in Pisces. Now, let's talk about the negatives because they're just as important. So Pisces is associated with escapism. Okay. What does that exactly mean? Sometimes Pisces can, bypass things. They can kind of, use spirituality as a means of, escaping reality. This can look like, people that spiritually bypass. They'll spend hundreds of dollars at the crystal store, but they won't actually sit down and, hire a therapist and actually sit through and work through their trauma, and, this is definitely, I do feel like this is going to be a theme that we're going to see in the next year and a half, where people are going to be more drawn to spirituality, which is great. But there's going to be a lot of people that are drawn to spirituality because they think that rose quartz in their bra is going to fix all of their relationship issues. And that's just simply not the case. Again, because we have that sense of compassion kind of being emphasized with the North Node in Pisces, hopefully, that kind of helps because, again, we're all on different paths, we're all on different journeys, but this is definitely something that we might see. Another negative that might come to the surface is codependency. Perhaps you will notice there are relationships within your own life where people are codependent on you, or maybe you're codependent on people. This is really, and depending on the level of codependency, this might be a tough pill for people to swallow due to the fact that, like, we're going to have to learn how to stand on our own 2 feet. We're going to have to recognize the power that we have within ourselves. And depending on the trauma and depending on, again, the level of codependency, that might be hard and it might take a long time for people to really unravel and work through. Now, another thing that I want to point out is there might be a sense of fanatical idealism, meaning people might find spiritual teachers or gurus or whatever people are calling themselves these days and really kind of put these people on pedestals. And a lot of these people shouldn't have any, a lot of people, I'm going to talk. Oh my God, guys. I have so much to talk about, but I am going to have another class where I'm going to talk deeper into some topics that I feel are going to become more prominent within the next 5 years. And we'll go deeper into the fanatical idealism. But this is something that, again, this is kind of associated with the escapism where, you put people on pedestals or, teachers on pedestals where they shouldn't be on a pedestal. They really shouldn't be on a pedestal. And you can really hold on and listen to like every word they have to say. And here's the thing when it comes to anything spiritual or any sort of spiritual teacher, everyone is so unique. Everyone has their own karma. Everyone has their own purpose. You get to choose what works for you and what doesn't. Take everything with a grain of salt. Not everything is truth. A lot of stuff, especially when it comes to anything occult related, is passed down information or somebody's opinion on something. So again, you can make your own assumptions and you can make your own opinion. But again, that's just something that might come up, or I don't even want to say might, that's definitely going to come up in the year and a half that North Node is going to enter Pisces. Okay, so if you haven't done so already, I need you to head on over to astroseek.com and plug in all of your information for your natal chart. Okay, what I would suggest is I would go and I would grab and download your natal chart information and just leave it on your desktop, as well as your human design information, because you're going to have to, with all of these classes, we're going to be using your human design and your natal chart a lot. So it's going to be easy access for you to just go and grab it. Okay. So When you go and you type in all the information, you're going to see the circle that is the natal chart. Now, we're not going to go into that natal chart because, again, I can teach you how to read it, but there's a cheat sheet that is so much easier for you. So you're going to scroll down a bit, and on the right-hand side of the screen, you're going to find this gray box, okay? And it's going to tell you all the planet positions, and then below it, you are going to see the houses, okay? The AC is your first house, and you're going to see, 2, 3, IC, 5, 6, DC, 8, 9, MC, 11th, and 12th. Okay. Now, I want you to go ahead and look at the eighth house sign over here. It looks like an H. Okay. That is the sign of Pisces. So find where that sign is in your houses. And that's where you are going to go ahead and listen to essentially the reading that's going to happen in the next coming um, slides. Okay. Now, let's talk about Pisces in the first house. So, if you are a Pisces rising, this is the house of self. This is what you can expect during this 18-month transit. You are going to change. You are going to change from the inside out. Your ideas, your beliefs, the way you view reality, perhaps your appearance is going to change. This is a very internal expression. This is a very internal to external transit for you because, again, this is the house of self. This is you at your core. This is everything that you embody. This is everything that you are. This is your personality. This is your future self. So everything about you is going to change. Everything about you is going to be more purpose driven. Okay. So the things that come up and the things that light you up, the things that are, come into your life in the next 18 months and they light up your soul, let it light up your soul. Now, if you have Pisces in the first house, that means that you have Virgo in the seventh house. And again, the South Node is entering Virgo. So, what you can expect with that transit is there might be some possible tension in your relationship. Okay. Karma will perhaps play out when it comes to relationship matters. Perhaps an old flame will pop back up, but also, this isn't a bad thing. Like, here's the thing, guys. Again, I told you that like the South Node represents karma and past relationships. So and Virgo is very direct. Virgo is very like shit or get off the pot. Virgo is not the compassionate mothering energy. So a lot of the things that are going to transpire when it comes to wherever Virgo is, it's going to be very direct. It's going to be very like, well, this needs to be fixed or this needs to be resolved or hey, you haven't really, this has to happen now kind of situation. Okay. So again, perhaps possible issues may arise, miscommunication. Um, you know, when it comes to this, I feel like it's going to be like, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury and Mercury is all about communication. Sometimes it's just about like sitting and having a conversation with your spouse. Sometimes it's just getting on the same page. Sometimes we continue to grow and we continue to evolve. So, making sure that we're checking in with not only ourselves, but with our spouse and seeing where we are at in our careers and our lives and, our emotions. It's important because, again, we continue to grow and evolve, and the things that we believe in and the things that are important to us begin to grow and evolve. So Virgo in the seventh house with the South Node there, there might be some uncomfortable conversations that you have to have. Or again, karma, someone from your past might pop up, unresolved issues, conversations that need to be had, you speaking your truth. Those things all might come to the surface during this 18 months transit. So now let's talk about Pisces in the second house. So if you have Pisces ruling your second house, this is what you can expect for the next 18 months. Your relationship with money and your beliefs around money will begin to shift, specifically for the positive. I think that you're going to start viewing money in a less personal way, okay? Sense of unworthiness and all of those limiting beliefs that we all carry around money. You're going to have to start shedding those because money is simply energy, and we just have to let it be that. Everything that we think around money is just our own personal belief systems, whether they were carried down from our childhood or things from our 20s or something along those lines. It's just an exchange. That's all it is. And I think that you're going to start to detach your personal belief systems from your relationship with money. Okay. Or maybe you realize that you put too much emphasis on your relationship with money, but also human possessions, like physical possessions, and that will begin to shift, and your things will be more purpose driven. Like your mindset when it comes to physical objects and money is more about purpose than it is about anything else. Okay. Now, if you have Pisces in the second house, that means you have Virgo in the eighth house. The eighth house is all about death, rebirth, and transformation. Okay. So, Virgo being very analytical, perhaps your view on death and life and transformation will begin to shift, or you'll begin to lean into topics like that. Past life influences when it comes to this topic will begin to become more prominent. So what I mean about that is perhaps, you lost someone, you lost someone within the last couple of years, or it doesn't even have to be the last couple of years that maybe, still hurts your heart. And maybe you have to revisit those feelings. Maybe you have to go ahead and just kind of embrace, um, you know, losing people, or perhaps just really asking those hard questions. What happens after we die? Um, Doing more research about, death and life and transformation. This is a very interesting placement because again, Virgo is very analytical. Virgo is very to the point. So perhaps, maybe, reading books written by mediums or hospice nurses and getting comfortable with the idea of life after death. Those will be the themes for you as the South Node enters your eighth house. So now let's talk about Pisces in the third house. Okay. The third house is how you communicate. This is what you're going to expect if you have Pisces ruling over this house. The way you communicate will shift. How you present things will be more purpose driven. Okay. You're probably going to have a lot of instances where you recognize like the conversations that you have that you're like, why are we even talking about this? Like you're just going to sit there and be like, I don't care about this. Why are we talking about this? Why are we gossiping? I couldn't care less about this topic. This is like surface level shit. I want to talk about inspiration. I want to talk about spirituality. I want to talk about philosophy. I want to talk about ideas. That's what's going to start to happen when it comes to having Pisces in your third house. The way you communicate, you're going to want to change. It's going to become more purpose driven. You're going to say things with purpose. You're going to probably start to hold back on some of the type of conversations that you're used to, or the surface level conversations, so to speak. You're going to get bored of them because you're going to want to start really diving into the subconscious mind. You're going to want to start to talk about topics that ignite you, that really invigorate you. So you might notice that like you're going to talk less to certain people because those are the people that are just surface level conversations, and maybe they're not ready to handle deeper level conversations. Now, if you have Pisces in your third house, that means you have Virgo ruling your ninth house. Okay. So this is going to bring a desire for you to learn more about a certain location or philosophy. Now, again, Virgo is the South Node is all about past lives. So when you find yourself being drawn to a National Geographic documentary about Ireland or Scotland, this is your soul like tapping you on the shoulder, being like, hey, you used to live here. You did a lot of great things in this continent. Learn more about this. Okay. So those nudges that you're going to have during these 18 months, lean into them because this is past life stuff. So ideas of, maybe perhaps all of a sudden you want to go and visit India, or you want to go and visit Sedona, or these urges or these nudges that you begin to have in these 18 months, that's all past life. That is all past life. So go ahead and embrace it. So now let's talk about Pisces in the fourth house. Okay. This is what you're going to expect if you have this placement. There's going to be shifts and changes when it comes to your family and your household. Now, I think that a lot of times I feel that, I intuitively feel if you have Pisces in your fourth house, there might be a lot of more awareness of healing or things that happened in your past, things that perhaps, parents said, or things that kind of shaped you, they'll begin to kind of pop up, okay? Whether that's through therapy or breath work or whatever the case may be. But this is a very deeply healing time when it comes to inner child work. This is going to be a very like deep healing transformational time when it comes to your relationships with your family, with the way you parent, but also the relationship with your parents. Okay. So this is going to be a very deeply healing experience in terms of your childhood and your adolescence. Okay. So learn to embrace that. Now, if you have Pisces in your fourth house, that means you have Virgo in the 10th house. And this is a really cool placement to have at this time for the simple fact that shifts in your career and your public image are going to start making headway. Okay. Perhaps the way you've been doing things, specifically if you are an entrepreneur or if you are a healer in business, like perhaps you're like, I'm not really aligned with this kind of work anymore. I want to go this way. The direction where you are heading is going to start to change. Okay. The next chapter of what you are meant to be doing is going to start unfolding when it comes to your career. Your work in this will begin to reflect past karma as well, but also integrate your life mission. So, an example of this is, perhaps, I don't know, maybe you feel inclined to talk more about witchcraft. Perhaps, you feel more inclined to share about your own personal witchcraft practice on social media. And that's probably due to the fact that, you might have been burned at the stake in a past life. Or, perhaps there is a witch wound there that you need to start working on and healing. So things like that is going to change. The way you show up is going to shift when it comes to having Virgo in the 10th house. So now let's talk if you have Pisces in the fifth house. Okay. So, what to expect if you have a Pisces placement in your fifth house, which is the house of pleasure, of self expression, of creativity, as well as children. So, I intuitively feel that the things that you do for pleasure, the things that you do for fun are going to start shifting. They're not going to be fun anymore for you. You're going to have a desire for more deep, meaningful experiences of pleasure. You're going to find more holistic spiritual experiences to be more satisfying to you. So, maybe you're done getting, I don't know, weekly pedicures with your best friend and you'd rather go to, a meditation or a hot yoga class or something where you can really start truly connecting to your higher self. When you have this placement, it really is about self-expression and how you express yourself. And Pisces being a very deeply intuitive sign, you're going to find urges of just having deeper experiences. Now, it also might indicate that like your relationship with your children are going to change. You might intuitively parent. You might intuitively start to sense things when it comes to your children and bringing more compassion into the way you parent. All right. So now, if you have Pisces in your fifth house, that means you have Virgo in the 11th house. And this is this is going to be fun for anyone who has this placement. The 11th house is all about friendships and groups and communities. Okay. So I would suspect that people with this placement, people from your past or lost connections will begin to pop up if there is unresolved trauma. Okay. But this can also indicate that people will begin finding their way into your life in the next 18 months that there might be good karma. There might be good things that have, come from these connections that kind of make way into your life. Okay. So just know that like if people pop up, you know, that you haven't spoken to in years on your feed or, someone randomly messages you or texts you, there's probably unresolved karma there and you might want to work on that. But also the people that pop in the next 18 months, there's also karma there as well. Whether that be good or bad, who knows? Just let it unfold. So that's Pisces in the fifth house. Now let's talk about if you have Pisces in the sixth house. Your sixth house is the house of health and routines and wellness. Okay. So, what to expect if Pisces is in your sixth house? This is going to shine light on your relationship with your body as well as your overall health. Okay. Perhaps your diet hasn't been very good, or perhaps, the choices that you've made in the past really aren't aligning with who you are stepping into at this time. Um, perhaps, maybe you're on medicine and you don't want to be on medicine anymore. You're sick of it. So you're going to start to shift into a more holistic approach when it comes to your health and wellness. Okay. Perhaps you'll start juicing or detoxing or, changing up your diet, changing up your routines, taking supplements or something along those lines. But it's going to really bring light into your health and your fitness and how and the choices that you make every single day that ultimately create your relationship with your body and your health. Now, if you have Pisces in the sixth house, that means Virgo is in your 12th house. So what you can expect with this is things are going to shift for you at the subconscious level. Um, things, you'll start like reorganizing things and history and like experiences that you've had in the past, and perhaps like things are just going to start shifting. And this is all at like that mind level. Okay. So, like random things, like random people might come into your awareness, and you'll be like, oh my God, why am I thinking about this random person? And perhaps it's just your subconscious mind kind of shifting and putting them in a different place. Or, perhaps it's just things are going to be happening behind the scenes, so to speak, when it comes to Virgo in the 12th house, um, and karma. Okay. So again, South Node is all about karma and past lives, and things are going again. The 12th house is all about subconscious. So these are the things that happen at the background level that we might not even be aware of. Okay. But with that, comes a lot of mind rearranging. So, ideas might just pop up out of nowhere, or like memories will pop up out of nowhere and you're like, why am I thinking about that? It's because your subconscious mind is rearranging. So, now let's talk about Pisces in the seventh house. Okay, this is what we can expect if you have this placement. The seventh house is about marriage, it's about relationships. And if you have Pisces there, there's going to be shifts in your relationship. Okay, but this I do feel is going to be positive shifts. There's going to be more compassion and empathy towards one another. Okay, depending on where Pisces is for your partner, kind of depends on how that's going to manifest. But you're going to have more focus on like, I need to be a little bit more compassionate, or like, yeah, I had a hard day, but maybe he had a hard day too. There's going to be more compassion involved when it comes to your relationship. There's also going to be a means of like wanting to connect on a deeper, more spiritual level. So perhaps it's like, let's both go to this guided meditation, or like, let's both go on this hike in the woods and hug trees and like meditate in the middle of the woods or something along those lines. Oh my God, husbands are going to be so pissed at me for saying that, but I don't care. Everyone should hug a tree. But anyway, there's just going to be like a softer, more compassionate shift when it comes to how you view your relationship with your spouse or your partner, I should say. Now, if you have Pisces in your seventh house, that means you have Virgo in the first house. Okay. This is deep healing at the subconscious level. This means you're a Virgo rising. And with the South Node entering Virgo, this is really going to let go of past programming. It's going to maybe bring up ideas of like, maybe I should have this conversation with somebody. Or it's also going to change you. It's also going to really have you let go of things that do not serve you anymore. Okay. You're really going to start stepping into your power with this, but it's not going to be as gentle as, say, Pisces in the first house. This is going to make you do the work. This is going to make you, perhaps revisit circumstances and conversations, but also the way you speak to yourself. Like, what are the things that are going on within yourself? How do you self sabotage? How do you find yourself being your own worst enemy? You know what I mean? Like, that's definitely probably going to be a theme if you have Virgo in the first house. It's not going to be, again, it's not going to be that gentle. Virgos aren't gentle. Virgos are the Olivia Popes. Virgos do not care about your feelings, they care about facts. So, with this placement, again, it's kind of like you need to toughen up just a little bit, but you have to understand that you can handle it. Um, but it's going to bring some great transformation, that's for sure. So let's talk about Pisces in the eighth house. This is the house of death, rebirth, and transformation. And what this is going to kind of bring into your reality is transformation. Okay. I also feel that when you have Pisces in the eighth house, you're going to begin to revisit topics of death and life and what you want out of your life. But it's also going to be a deeply transformative 18 months for you. Okay. You're going to transform. You are going to go ahead and you're going to, you know, go from caterpillar to butterfly, so to speak, because this is shining light. The North Node is shining light on who you are meant to become in this next chapter. Who is the next version of yourself? And that rebirth is going to happen through the next 18 months for you. Now, Virgo would be in your second house if you have Pisces in the eighth house. And this indicates that your finances and relationship with money will begin to heal and transform. But again, remember, Virgo's a bitch. Virgo is not that nice, okay? It's very direct, it's very analytical, it's very like, this is the truth, deal with it, okay? So you're going to have to take a hard look at how you spend money, how you self-sabotage, and how you behave when it comes to finances and money and investing into things. Because when Pisces is in your second house, it's a lot more gentler. But in terms of Virgo, no, they don't care. They're going to be like, why'd you spend on this stupid shit? Like, you don't need it. Like, you're overspending, or, did you really need that Starbucks? Or, maybe you should have invested that money in, your savings account or an IRA or something along those lines. It's very direct, but it's also like it comes with love. So now let's talk if Pisces is in your ninth house. Okay. This is the house of higher education, philosophy, and travel. So this is going to ignite things when it comes to wanting to learn more about different topics. Okay. You're going to find yourself, if you are already an eternal student, you're going to want to read more. You're going to want to buy more books. You're going to want to just like spend hours just learning about philosophies and occult practices and all that kind of stuff, because this is igniting that part of you in your natal chart. Okay. So perhaps, you haven't traveled in a while and all of a sudden you're like, I want to go to this random ass place because I feel inclined to. Let it happen, man. This is a great placement. This is going to bring so much growth and healing and information your way. Now, if you have Pisces in the ninth house, that means you are a Virgo rising. Wait, sorry. I want to Pisces. No, that means it's in your fifth house. No, it means it's in your third house. Okay, my bad. Virgo is in your third house, which is the house of communication. Now, with the South Node there, be gentle with how you communicate to people. Okay. You're probably going to have to stop beating around the bush when it comes to things and just saying it like it is. You're going to have to stop sugarcoating stuff. You're going to have to just deliver the message the way the message needs to be delivered. Okay. A lot of times people will try to sugarcoat things to make it sound more appealing, but this is going to really be that fairy godmother on your shoulder being like, oh my God, just say it, just say it, just say it. Just, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like everybody thinks like we're not strong and we can't handle criticism. And if anybody can't handle criticism, you don't want them in your life. Simple as that. So let's talk about Pisces in the 10th house. This is the house of public image and career. Okay. So this is what you can expect with this placement. Things are going to shift when it comes to your public image, how you show up to the world, as well as um, just your career in general. You're going to start embracing your spiritual nature. You're going to start tapping into those high priestess vibes when it comes to creating content, when it comes to showing up in the world. Perhaps, you'll start dressing a little differently. Perhaps you'll start, wearing crystals or something along those lines, but it's your public image that's really going to change. So again, perhaps you might change your hairstyle, the way you dress, but this is really about you embracing that part of yourself. This is you about owning who you are, your intuitive nature, the high priestess that lies within you. This is what the world wants to see. So however you show up now, show up more like that. Show up more. Just let it all out, man. This is your time to shine if Pisces is in your 10th house, because again, this is career and public image, and the light is shining on you at this time. So just embrace it. Embrace it. Learn to belly dance. I don't know, like put put get another tattoo. No, don't listen to me. I'm getting out of hand. But this is really a great placement to have at this time because, again, it's not only shining the light on you and your public image, but it's also making you more purpose driven in the work that you share with the world. Now, if Pisces is in your 10th house, that means Virgo is in the fourth house. And this is, again, the house of family, the house of home. Now, shifts and confrontation in your family. That's what you should expect if Virgo is in the fourth house. A lot of times, our close knit family, our mom, our sister, or brother, anybody that we have a relationship with, like at that level, like a blood level, there's usually a soul group that everyone's connected to. But this is going to shift, and you're going to have to confront things in your family. And again, it's not like Pisces in your fourth house where it has more compassion. This means that, the confrontation might not be light and fluffy. The confrontation might be you being very direct and stern and centered and grounded and just like, this is my truth. This is how it is. Deal with it. Okay. This is about implementing boundaries when it comes to all things home. Okay. Things from their childhood might come up because, again, the South Node is all about karma. There might be like almost like really, really intense anger or rage when it comes to, your childhood and healing that kind of stuff, because there might be things from past lives that are also connected to it. Okay. So again, it's not like Pisces in your fourth house because Virgo is direct. Virgo is, at times confrontational. So it's going to be more stern. Now let's talk about Pisces in the 11th house. This is all about connections and friendships and groups. What you can expect if you have Pisces in the 11th house is you're actually going to make more connections with like-minded people. You're going to start connecting with groups and communities that have, like-minded beliefs, like-minded purposes. It's going to be a very positive time for you in that sense. Okay. Perhaps, maybe you feel like you aren't part of a group right now. Perhaps you feel like you haven't really fit in. But in the next 18 months, allow yourself to be open and aware of like maybe, invitations that pop up for you or, groups or events that, you feel inclined to go to, because those are where you're going to find your people. Now, if you have Pisces in the 11th house, that means you have Virgo in the fifth house. And this is all about self-expression. The way you express yourself is going to start shifting. What does that mean? Well, maybe, the theme of the last chapter was, I don't know, like a certain thing. Like maybe you were all just like easygoing, go with the flow, but maybe you're going into a chapter where it's like, I want to be more purpose driven. I want to be more organized. I want to be more strategic when it comes to my life. And maybe your appearance will start to shift. You'll start dressing maybe more conservatively, or you might start dressing, differently, because again, this is all about self-expression and creativity. How you enjoy life will begin to shift. How, also your relationship with your children might begin to change. You might start to recognize like, oh, maybe I am a little bit of a pushover in this sort of subject, or, maybe I do need to create more rules and boundaries when it comes to the home. Or, maybe I do need to discipline my child a little bit more because, again, remember, Virgo's not light and fluffy. It's not like Pisces. Virgo is very direct. Virgo is very derivative. So, a lot of these things in that instance will kind of manifest in that way. Now, the last placement, if you have Pisces in the 12th house, this is the subconscious mind. And this is what you can expect if you have this placement. Shifts are going to begin happening at the subconscious level. Letting go of past programming, you're going to be more intuitive because you're going to be subconsciously letting go of fear-based belief systems and all of that stuff. This is a pretty cool placement because a lot of times, like, when it's in the 12th house, this is all about the subconscious mind, right? It's not about the conscious mind. It's things, the programs that are happening in the background that we might not even be aware of. So, with this placement, things might just heal by themselves, where you don't have to sit there in hours of therapy and like breath work and, crying with your inner child because they're just fixing it at the subconscious level, right? It's just being healed at the subconscious level that you're not even aware of. So one day you might like just wake up and realize, like, oh, this doesn't really bother me anymore. Look at that. Hopefully you have a lot of those with this placement. Now, if you have Pisces in the 12th house, that means Virgo is in your 6th house. This is all about really analyzing your day-to-day routines as well as your relationship with food. Remember, we spoke about Pisces being in your 6th house, where it's more gentle, but because Virgo is in your 6th house, it's very matter of fact. It's going to be like, do you really need to eat that Pop-Tart? Do you really need to eat that bag of Cheetos? Do you really need that next cup of coffee? It's going to be very direct. You're going to kind of have like that tough love personal trainer thing going on. Okay. But you're going to start shifting when it comes to your relationship with food. Okay. Your relationship with exercise, your relationship with your daily routines when it comes to your health and wellness. So, with that being said, that is this training. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the comment section below and I will gladly give you more insight. And again, if you want a whole class just on the North Node, let me know in the comments. All right. I will see you guys in the next class. Bye.